Becca and welcome to my channel. Today I want to show you how to make these 5 fantasy quilled flowers. They're just really fun. They're not supposed to look like any real life flower, it's just ideas that I put together and making different petals and flowers. So as you can see, they're quite big ones, and then we've just got a small one in the centre. You don't have to do them to these sizes, you can either half or double the length of the strips that I tell you to as we're going through. You don't have to do them in these colours, whatever colour you want them to do and whatever makes you happy, that's the colour that you use. This is just the ones that I picked. So let's get started and I'll show you how I made them. Right, so to do flower number 1 we're going to be using a quilling comb, and we need to make 7 petals all together that are going to look like this. And the first part of the petal, what we're going to do is we're going to take one full strip of purple or whatever colour you want to use, and then if you look on your quilling comb, if you've got one like mine, we're just aiming around for this centre area, so 6 or 7 or just somewhere around there. It doesn't have to be exact because we can always add a loop in if it's necessary. Sorry, I did that way of explaining then. So if you just slide your quilling strip into one, and then it's a bit fiddly trying to do it on the camera. Got it there. So you've got that one there like that, and take the bottom of the quilling strip and it wants to come out from the next one. So if you can see there, it goes round, no, there we go, just goes round 2 of the quilling strips, 2 of the prongs on the quilling comb. Daft apers. Right, so then pull your strip down, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to fold over the little piece here that's left, and we're going to stick that round. So just get your glue, need a lot. Now starting it off is probably the fiddliest bit. So once you've got that little bit of glue on, you're folding it over onto itself and just hold it in place for a second, just until it gets a good grip on it, and I'll show you. So you folded it back onto itself, so from the end of the strip, the comb, sorry, it should look like that. So you've made like a loop around 2 of the prongs. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to take this length and we're going to put it around the next prong up. So gone through like that. Then the easiest way I find then is to flip the comb over, and then each time we go around, just going to put a tiny little dot of glue in the middle of the strip, and then we just go across there and down the next one. I can see now I've gone one too many loops over, so I'll stick this one and I'll show you how to move it down if you realise. Because we're using the full strip, so it's going to be using the full length of the comb. So wait till it's stuck. Okay, so you can just slide it off and then just move it up to the next one. So you'll probably see better there. So you've got your loops. So just wiggle them back onto the comb. There we go, I think that one's right now. Then keep turning it over, and then just put a tiny little dot. Don't need much, it's just to make sure that it sticks. You know, for when you take it off the comb and you put it. So I've got to the end of the strip and it doesn't want to stay. Behave yourself. There we go. So we've used every prong on the comb. If you haven't got a comb like mine, you can just use a normal, this is an afro comb, I think that's what it's called anyway. You could use these, your gaps would just be a little bit bigger than what mine are, or just a regular, you know, a comb, the ones with the long handles on. And that one, your holes will be closer together so they'll be smaller. So well, mine, if you can see from the end, I can't really tell just yet what it looks like, but so I'm just going to show you how you just easily tease it off the comb, and then it will look like that. Okay, so we just need to put that to one side for a moment, so we don't need the comb anymore. So then I've got a half strip of black, and we're just going to create an open teardrop shape. Now if you want to make sure that they're all exactly the same size, if you've got one of the quilling boards that I mentioned in my introduction to quilling video, I'll link it in the description or around here somewhere. You can put all your shapes onto that and make sure that they're exactly the same. Whoop, that's what I get for talking and trying to make a coil. So you've got them all exactly the same. I think once you've got the handle on now, you know what sort of size you're wanting, you don't necessarily need that, but if you're just starting out, it is a good thing to have, because it'll just make sure that you know you've got them all the right size. Right, so I've just made a tight coil. I'm just going to let it open up now. Okay, and just put a little bit glue on the end. Stick it down, and then we're just going to pinch it at the bottom, just like that. And then just take the piece that we've made on the quilling comb and we're going to fold it in half. So if you just use your quilling tool or a pocket tool, something anyway, it just helps press in the middle, because that's where all your glue has been, so it might have gone a little bit stiff now. So we're just bending it round, and then we're going to put some glue just on the inside of the purple part, or whatever colour you've done. And then we're just going to pop the teardrop into the centre. You can just about see there. If I let it go, it'll fall off, and I'll just show you what I'm doing. But you just have the end. Oh, I'm in a dip. There we go. So it's just sticking at that centre point, and then you just pull in the two sides together and pinching at the bottom, like we did when we were just making the normal teardrop. So just make sure you've got plenty of glue to hold it in. Might just take a few seconds for it to hold, because there's a few layers of paper in there now, and this part's quite strong because it's had all that glue in the centre part. It wants to stay. And there's your petal. Like I say, you need 7 of those. So I've already made some here. What I'm going to do is we're just going to glue them together in a circular formation. Out a little bit, and you can see a little bit better. So just take each one of your petals and then push the bottoms together. So you've just put glue on the side. Now you could also use, if you're wanting to hold them into place, if you've just got pins and you've got a cork board that you're working on, you can just pop your pins into it here while it's setting, and then it'll make sure that it keeps it next to the other one. So you just take one at either side of the petal and just hold it there until that petal's set in place. So that it doesn't take very long at all. So then if you just put your glue on your next petal, we go. And it's just holding it. I'll see if I can tilt it a little bit, then you can see a bit better. Well, the problem with when I'm doing this, right, so if you can just see there, all the pins are meeting in the centre, and that's where the middle of your flower will obviously be. So I'll crack on and do all these other ones. I'll put it on ice because you don't need to watch me doing it in real time, and I'll talk to you in a minute. Right, and that's flower number 1. So I can't take that one up just at the moment because it's still drying, but this is what your flower will turn out like once it's dry. So there's different ways of what you can put a centre in. You could put a gem or a button or a tight coil or a dome or something. I can't make my mind up which one I want to put in the centre of this one yet, so I'm just leaving it for now, but you can decide that whenever you're actually going to be using your flower. If you're making these in bulk, you know, just make your flower and then you can decide how you want to put your centre when you come to use it. So that's flower. So flower number 2 is using the quilling comb again. So what we need to make for this petal is 3 of what we did on the first flower. So I'll just show you a quick recap of how to do that, and then I'll come back once I've done it. You don't need to see me doing it all again for all the way through. So again, just slide it in between 2 prongs near the centre. It decides to go where I want it. There we go. So I've got it round there. Just pull it down to near at the end. Fold over the end, just so it's a really small piece. It's just so that you can put a tiny dot of glue. My nozzle needs cleaning out. A little bit. So then just hold it down if you can, and then bring the strip up and around and over where you've just put the glue, and then around the next prong on the comb. And that's ready for you to wrap around the 3rd prong. So for each petal you need 3 of these. So it's 5 petals all in all that we're putting on the flower, so you need to do that 15 times. I've done most of mine, so I'll come back once I finish this one and I'll show you how to put the petal together. Right, I've done all the wrapping around the comb, so I'm just going to slide it off like before. Like I said, for 1 petal you need 3 of these, so I've got the other 2 done. And all we're going to do is bend them in half again. So if it's a bit too stiff, just use something strong to push down in the centre. A bit closer. And then what we're going to do is rather than putting a teardrop in the middle, we're just going to leave that as a gap. So let's put some glue on the inside, and then just hold the bottom 2 pieces together. That's it. And once they're stuck, I'm going to put all 3 of these together. Sorry, I've just realised that I'd come off a camera. So I've got all 3 together there now, as you can see, just holding it while it adheres to each other. So again, if you want to do these like in a production line thing, you could put these down on your corkboard and use pins to hold them together. But I'm just making 2 of these flowers, so I don't need to do it that way. So right, and then we're just going to take 1 strip of red, or whatever colour you're using. And then we're going to just wrap the strip around the petal until we use up the entire strip. Got glue on my fingers now, so it's sticking to me rather than the petal. Once you get this first look going round, it makes it a little bit easier because the centres are quite bouncy because of how that they are. And just put a bit more glue down this side, around here. And then once you've got that full wrap done, it'll hold it better in place for you. So it does get easier, I promise. It's usually starting off with things that's probably the most fiddly with quilling. Right, so I've got that in, and I'm just going to continue wrapping that all the way around the petal until I've used up the strip. Right, so I've not got enough to go around the strip again. You can wrap this back round, but I'm just going to snip it off. But you're best off just making sure that it's stuck in place first, because the centre's going to get covered up by whatever you make the middle of your flower with. Just take your scissors and just snip any excess off. And then, as you can see here, the top, there's a bit of a gap here. So what you can do now is just pop a little bit of glue on top of each of the peaks, if that's what you want to call them, and then just hold them in place, and then it will hold the border of the petal down. So I'll let that one finish drying while I put it together. So you need 5 petals altogether. So here's the other 4 that I've already made, and it's the same process of what we did with the first flower. Basically just popping each side up to the next one. If you're using your cork board and pins, just try and hold your pins to the centre at either side of where they join, and it will keep them in place. Right, so for the last petal, just need to put some glue on either side, and then you just wedge it in the gap that's left. Open my pins. And then leave it to dry. So this is what it'll be like when it's done. Again, you can choose whatever you want to put in the centre. You can press it in the middle to make it more 3D. Or if you've got one of the quilling moulds like this, I'll show you how to use in one of my other tutorials. You know, push them down into that, and it'll help keep it shaped while it's drying. So rather than pinning it down onto the board like this, you could use that as a mould for it, and then you just decide whatever you're going to put in the centre. And that's flower number 2. Okay, for flower number 3 we need to make 5, and this is a much simpler one. We just need to make 5 of these. So I'm just taking 1 full strip. Right, so once you've made your tight coil, take it off your quilling tool, let it unravel. So you've got a loose coil, and just a spot of glue on the end. Again, if you've got one of the quilling boards, if you want to make sure that all your coils are exactly the same, then you can use that. Okay, I've got that in place. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my quilling tool, and where the join is, I'm just going to press it in. Trying to get it at an angle that you can see, and just push it up to the top, so it looks a bit like a bow at the moment. So once you've done that, you've got it in the middle, you've pushed, and fold the sides over so you can make the ends a little bit more pointed, and then we're going to stick them down together like this. Okay, so now we're just going to put them into the same formation as we have before. Because this is a lot simpler flower, you might not need to use the pins, so but you can if you wish. Last one, go on either side, and then just hold it into place. Let's get another pin. Okay, so that one's still there. This is my other flower. I've lost one of the petals, but this is essentially, they'll be like when they're together, you'll have its fifth petal in it. But once it's dry, again, you can do your moulding and put your centre in as to whatever you want it to be. You could even use some of the the flower forming stems that you can get, that I know Crafter's Companion do some, and you put them through your flower form. You can just use some of those for the middle. So that's flower number 3. Right, so flower number 4, we're doing a sort of variation on the one that we've just done. So I've already wound up my tack holes, so this is one full strip of red or whatever colour you want it to be. And we're just going to do the same as what we did before, just press in the centre. And then point the ends. And then we're going to glue that together. Now this is when a good time to let this one dry, so I'm just going to take some of my pins just while I'm at the other parts of the petal. Just hold them in. Okay, so then we need 2 open semicircles on there. So I've already done one. So I've taken a half strip and made a loose coil, and then all you're doing is straightening out one of the bottoms of one of the sides, and then straightening it up just like this, and then if you pinch the ends here, so you should have a relatively flat bottom and then a curved top, and you need 2 of those. And then once that's stuck a little bit, so we're going to take a strip of blue, or whichever you're wanting to do, and then I'm going to go around the centre twice. So I'll just loop it around. Clip. Then just round again. So now is a little fiddly bit, so if you help yourself back, just popping another little bit of glue there, it'll just hold in place while you're holding your semicircles. So then you want to take one of your semicircles and we're going to stick it to the side of there. So just putting some glue here and then hold it up to the centre part. It's a bit difficult to show you how to do this without getting my fingers in the way, so if you can manage to pinch both pieces between your thumb and your finger, then just take your blue strip and then come around the bottom. So again, you can always just add a little bit of glue there and then you're pinching it up. Right, so that's stuck in place now. So I've just flipped it over and I'm going to stick the other semicircle on the other side. And just again hold it in place. I can't really show you very well because you've got to pinch it in between your fingers for you to be able to manage to do it. And then just some more glue around. And then pinch, so, and then they're going to come together at the top. You can see a little bit better now. So you've got the three pieces lined up next to each other, and that, now all you're going to do is just wrap the petal with the remaining of the strip. You can glue every time you go round, you don't have to. It's just a personal choice if you want to do that. Now I've not got enough to go all the way around again, so I'm going to just pop my little bit of glue there and just take my scissors and snip off the excess. And there you've got your petal. So you need 5 of those. Again, same process, just putting them all together in formation. Now I thought on this one that I'd show you one way of putting a centre in. Now this is a little dome that I've made with, I think it was half a strip of brown that I used. I just made a tight coil and then I moulded it over I think the second smallest part of my quilling mould, and then put some glue on the inside. In fact, no, I think it was. No, it weren't. It was the 5mm one. And I moulded it round, then just put a little bit glue in the centre, spread it around with a brush, and I've let it dry. And then all I'm going to do is just put a ring of glue down there, and then just pop it in the centre and let it dry. And then once it's dry, you can make it 3D, and you could put it into some silicone glue or 3D Collal 3D glue gel. So that's up to you, or just leave it like it is. So that's flower number 4. Right, so for our last flower we need to make 6 petals that look like this. So what we need to do is, first I've got 1 full strip of pink, that's for the outside, and then I've got half a strip of pink and just made a tight coil. And then for each flower you need 2 of these purple pieces. So this is a 1 full strip and I've made an open coil, and then I'm going to pinch it at the bottom like in a teardrop, but then I'm going to bend it at the top so it's curving round. So, and then we're going to stick these 2 pieces together, so you just have to flip them over so they're going in opposite directions. Just hold them until they've got stuck together. Okay, so once they're done, and we can put our little tight coil just in the centre here. So if you just put a little dot of glue at either side. No, I can't get in any closer. Just let it stick and then I can show you a little bit better. So just push it in. There we go. And then it's stuck to either side of the 2 bended teardrops. Okay, let them dry a little bit. Again, if you're making loads of these, if you make them in like a production line, so make all these parts and let them all dry, that's up to you. I'm just making these odd flowers to show you different ones to make. So then we're just going to take our pink strip and we're going to wrap it. Okay. Now it's up to you whether if you want to put glue every time you go round or go round it and then put the glue in afterwards. I'm impartial as to do it either way, but I do like on the first one to at least put a little bit of glue on the top of here because it's going to be touching there first. So wrapping it round, still a bit flimsy because it's not completely dry, but what we're going to do is we're going to just wrap around our petal and just keep pinching it at the bottom. There. Okay, right, I've got a little bit left over here, so I'll just do my usual gluing and then snipping. Okay. So we've got this now. So as you can see, there's this gap at the top. So you can just put little glue in between each layer. Or another way is to just put a dot of glue on top of where they all join, because this will dry clear, and then just smooth it along, and then it'll push the glue down into the layers of the strip. But if you want to leave them open, you can do. So just one way of doing it. So and then once you've got it stuck, then where these 2 pieces of where there's got a gap, if you can just take your nail or something and just push down around that little coil, so we get the bumpy effect. It does work a little bit better when you're letting each stage of this one dry. The more complicated petals, it's better just to let each one done, but when I'm doing it for video, I'm trying to do it as quick as I can. Okay. So you would have to just pin this or just hold it until it's stuck in place if that's how you wanted it to do. But this one's been very stubborn. Don't think it's helping that I've got glue on my fingers, so it keeps sticking to that one every time I let go. It's wanting to come with it. Leave it like that one for now. Right, so you need to make 6 of those to make the flower in total. So I've already stuck 3 together here. This is one of the flowers that I'm doing an even amount of petals, but I'm overlapping them. I sort of looked at a poppy flower, and it's got like the wider gap in between each of the petals, and I think there's 2 layers on a poppy, and I've basically just stuck them together in the centre. So now we've got our bottom layer. I'm just going to put these, in fact I'll put a little bit more glue on there, across the centre so it covers up that gap. And you do the same with the other petals. And probably end up having to stick that one, let it dry and then stick it afterwards, but I've got it in the centre. Last one. And then just let that dry fully. I will have to stick that one down afterwards because it's not playing ball with me today. And then just put something in the centre as to whatever you want it to be. So that's flower number 5. So I'll just zoom out a little bit and I'll show you the all the flowers all together. And see my messy work area now. So we've got all these flowers, as you can see. So that was flower number 1. If you get any dry bits of glue that are sticking out, if you've got a hard bristle brush, just stipple the flower and it'll push the little bits of dry glue away. But that's flower number 1. And number 2 is this one, the same sort of technique, just a large petal. Then the simplest one, nice little small pink one. And this is the one that I showed you with the dome for a centre. And then flower number 6, which is the one that we've just done, that's still drying. So that, I think I'll put a pearl in the centre of this one of the flat back pearls, or a rhinestone or something like that. So I hope I've inspired you to have a go at making some of your own quill flowers, put onto your paper crafting projects, or just to decorate anything that you want around the house. So thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, if you would give me a thumbs up, that would be appreciated. And if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, that would be appreciated too. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.